I'm Deirdre Cross. I am a VP at Funko Games.
Hey, Deirdre, so today we're going to talk about the legacy of Isla Nublar, the Jurassic World game that you guys have kickstarted successfully, I might add. At the time of this interview, you're at $321,000 of 100,000 goals. So you're like 300%. So congratulations on that.
Thanks. Thank you. We were very excited to have the opportunity to bring this game to Kickstarter.
So speaking of that, I mean, Funko is a big property, and you guys usually publish a lot of your games. You're just, here's when the game's coming out, this date. You don't do a Kickstarter. What was the reason for the Kickstarter for this specific box?
Well, really, as we were developing this game, it kind of started out as a certain scope, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, we knew we wanted to do a legacy game, but it became truly epic in its proportion, and we felt like to launch this product, we wanted to launch it on Kickstarter so that we could have really have an ongoing conversation with the consumer. You know, it's so hard to convey what you can do in 24 hours of gameplay, right? And how vast the story will be just on the shelf, right? If you were to just walk by with your shopping cart, you'd be like, huh, all right, Jurassic Park. But to really have that conversation and be able to, you know, show them all the behind the scenes and all these things that, you know, in this way, Kickstarter becomes a way for us to have that sustained conversation where we couldn't do it under, you know, normal circumstances.
This is also one of the biggest and most expensive games I think you guys have ever put out. What was it like working on something at this size, scale, and price?
Oh my goodness. We worked on it. It's been more than 2 years. We've been working on this project since before anyone had ever heard of COVID-19. Our team was working on this, and it was really amazing. I mean, and of course, it went through that whole, like, everybody go home process. Let's move to how do we test this thing on digital platforms? How do we build this if no one can be in the office? Like, all that kind of stuff really were all big challenges to overcome, but there was so much dedication and tenacity to getting it right and to telling the story that people just really dug in a way that was really special. And when you play the game, when you experience it, you can really tell how much we poured into it, from a story perspective, but also the way that the game itself even reveals itself. Because you can imagine, and you mentioned this, like Funko is very big and well known, and this IP is very big and well known. There are a lot of people coming to this game who have never played a legacy game before. What's that first experience like for them? What's the, you know, how does that build over time? How does it teach them to play? How does it exist in their life once they're done playing? All that kind of stuff was part of this, and really creating an accessible and rich gameplay experience that would work for gamers and fans of Jurassic World, if they are distinct and they're not really separate groups, but saying they are, that you would have an opportunity to connect with both of them. Yeah.
Can you talk about, for people who may not know what a legacy game is, can you kind of give those people an elevator pitch to explain like what the difference between a legacy game is and something like, you know, Godzilla Tokyo Clash, like, you know, they're just different.
They absolutely are. So in a traditional game, right, you get it out, we're going to set it up, and we're going to play it, and when we're done, we're going to put it all back, and it restores back to its original state. The cards get shuffled back together, they go back into a stack, the pieces are all separated, and they go back to where they go. In the case of a legacy game, you are going to make choices during the game, you know, about certain cards or buildings or dinosaurs, all of these kind of things. You're going to make choices, and unlike a regular game, your choices will impact the next game you play, and your choices will be permanent. So even if the dinosaurs get out and there's problems and people die, there are consequences. There will be also consequences that carry forward for you in the next adventure that you play. And so our game, plays out over the course of 12 adventures, but it's going to be unlike a standard game. Every time you come, you're going to pick back up where you left off and you're going to continue on your story. So that's kind of the nutshell between regular.
What do you have to say out there to like the board game enthusiast who's like puts permanent stickers on my board game? I'm not doing that. Like, because I know there's those gamers out there that are like that. What's your message to them for this legacy game?
Yeah, well, I mean, we are of course traveling a path well trod by many other terrific game makers in the legacy space, but we did, as we talk about that, who comes to this game and how experienced they are, that permanent stickering and stuff is scary. Like, what's going to happen if I choose to put this road here? What's going to happen? And to alleviate that pressure, the first adventure in the game box is a tutorial adventure where the changes you make are not permanent. So you can do it and then you can play it again. And you can play it again, and you can stay in that space. I was talking to a playtester recently where they got their copy of the game and they were like, "Oh, we're not going on until we beat the tutorial. Then we're going to carry on with our story." And they're kind of been there a little while, but then when you get to the end of the game and all the changes have been made, the last scenario, the finale, is infinitely replayable. So then you are playing in your park once all the decisions have been made. But we do have that little bit of training wheels at the front that gives a little bit more grace on the stickering.
And speaking of that, like you do have stickers and like decals and like little tokens and stuff like that, but you also have like full-blown models of each dinosaur. Can you go over what comes in the box in terms of the models?
Yeah, well, we have 4 of the movers. We've revealed what they are, and I happen to have 3 of them here with me. The T-Rex, the Brachiosaurus, and the Velociraptor. And as a Kickstarter exclusive, actually, we're having voting right now on BGG for which dinosaur we should inject and give as a Kickstarter exclusive additional mover in amber. So amber, right? Game amber. But the translucent yellow amber color. Yes. Yellow.
Not real amber. That would be hundreds of thousands of dollars probably.
Oh my gosh. Wouldn't that be amazing? So they would be game amber, injected in clear plastic. Very cool. But they're highly detailed miniatures, as you can see, and they're not just our raptors are not just little dinosaur models running around on the board, but really we put them in this scene. They're coming.
Yeah, they have like a base and a set. Yeah, like it's a really cool, like really nice model.
Yeah, they're coming in to the kitchen, and here on the back is if you recognize from the Badlands, that's the actual, the skeleton that lays down flat in the beginning of the movie that Dr. Grant has excavated. Deep fandom over here. So the game itself, I'm gonna lift it up. But it has 12. It comes with 12 of those, and like I said, we've only revealed 4 of them so far. And I don't know if we're gonna reveal any more spoilers.
Ooh, Shacknews exclusive right now.
I don't know. Somebody's gonna come and
Someone's gonna get you mad. Yeah, don't get people mad.
You're gonna get me kicked out.
You guys have a marketing plan. I don't want to crash the plan into the ground. Like, keep the marketing plan. Keep it going.
They're gonna come for me. But it has all of those, and then it has 20. I think, oh gosh, I'm going to get it wrong. I think it has 21 playable characters. And again, you could play it over 12 adventures. So the box is super, super dense, because inside of here is this huge stack of envelopes. So you've got the master rule book, but inside of that, the envelopes, you're going to open one every game, and inside of there are going to be a bunch of new things that are revealed every adventure. It's going to be, new tokens, new story elements. There's going to be stickers. There's a scratch off element in this, which is really fun. We include a raptor claw, so you can scratch with that instead of a coin or your finger. So it's just really immersive, and it's awesome. I love this game. It's just awesome.
And this game spans the whole Jurassic Park universe. So is it just it's from Jurassic Park 1, 2, 3, and Jurassic World of 1 and 2?
Yeah, that's right. And it also canonically includes the some of the other space between those stories in a really interesting way, because there are 12 adventures and there's only 5 films. We start our story before Jurassic Park, because you're building your own and seeing if you can make better decisions than John Hammond, or not. And then you will encounter that Jurassic Park story, but there's a lot of other storytelling in between those 5. And this is where you're talking about, like, how big did the project start out and where did it go, right? Like, you would think it would be 5 adventures, right? Because there were 5 films, but there's 12. So Universal is absolutely amazing. Universal and Amblin, partners on the licensing side, they really, really worked with us to bring, the more story to life than it is in the films. But also we had to introduce additional new characters. So there are new characters you may not have seen in the films as well.
Has Steven Spielberg played your game yet?
I hope so. I like to imagine Steve just having a nice weekend, kicking back, playing some board games. I like to think that is what happens, but I don't have evidence.
Now, my other question is, you guys do your absolute darndest to try to get rights so things look like the movies, but sometimes that doesn't always happen. What happens in a situation where, like, you don't have the actors' rights for Dr. Hammond or Jeff Goldblum? Like, what's the process if you reach out and they say, "Nah, we'll pass"? So what do you have to do from then moving forward?
It really depends on the license, on the studio, and their relationship with those actors, and and their likeness, whether or not you get to include it. If we don't have the rights to include actor likeness, we will often do sort of, a painting of a character who is evocative of the character in their, clothing and their general demeanor, but not the actual actor. So a little more like playing the game is a little bit like reading the book, right? You're like, you imagine it, and then when it's on the screen, it's cast by an actor. Yeah.
So my other question is, if this is doing extraordinarily well on Kickstarter, if it continues to do well, will we see like a national retail release on top of the Kickstarter release?
Well, eventually, the core game itself will come to retail. The timing on that kind of depends on the Kickstarter fulfillment. All of that must be first, absolutely. And we are announcing, as I mentioned, we're doing additional mover and other materials that are coming out with the Kickstarter. So all of that is going to be fulfilled first. And the only way you can get all of that special Kickstarter exclusive will be by backing through the Kickstarter. We do have a retailer pledge option. So if a retailer wants to make sure that they have the Kickstarter edition, they can back it through our Kickstarter and get that. But once that's closed, that's it. And the only, this will be the only version of the game you'll be able to get, will be the core version. And then hopefully it has a nice long life out in the marketplace and lots of people get to play it.
Is it harder to sell the game to distributors when the box is relatively large? Because I know shelf space is the thing retailers are always competing for.
Oh yeah, that is a really good point. It is it takes up a lot of square inches on the shelf, and also it's heavy, right? So it's heavy to ship. And all those things are certainly factors, but I think at Hobby we can look to the success of many other games that come in quite large boxes and see that there is, if the game is right and the audience is there, that retail is interested even in a big box.
Then my other question is, if we see, like, we're seeing this do tremendously well, will you guys do other legacy games in the future based on the success of the legacy of Isla Nublar?
Well, no announcements yet, Greg, but I would say that we are always open to exploring things that people want to play, and creating games that we want to play, I think. And this legacy space really gave us an opportunity to spread our wings in a way that we hadn't had a chance to as Prospero Hall. This was a really fun thing to get to do, and we're quite pleased with it. So no announcements yet about forthcoming legacy titles, but all options are on the table.